I hope my screen is visible, right? Hello. One second. Okay, so let's start off. Now over here, as I showed you the PORCES website the other day, this shows you all the questions, and over here you can see the tags, right? There are different types of tags for every question. So most probably you will all come across in beginning questions or in the questions which are relatively easier, like within the rating of 1,500, 1,600. You'll be coming across these things very often. Math, Grady, DP, and one thing called implementation. If you can see here, it's very, these are very famous tags. Okay, Grady algorithms, DP algorithms, and then implementation, mathematics, and there's something called strings also. Now those are some very commonly available problems. Like if you see all of these, like greedy is available in almost everyone. Like almost every question uses greedy algorithms. So we'll be just going over what different types of these algorithms are, what they exactly do, and how to approach them. Now, firstly, let's take a math problem. Okay. Now, math problem is one of the easiest ones. You can implement it pretty easily. This is an easy math problem. Okay, I'll just let you read the question for a while. I'll give you the link to the question in the chat. One second. Okay, this is the link to the question. I'd ask you all to just take it up in a new tab and read the question. And if you have after reading, just respond back in the chat. Okay, some guys have already read the question. Okay, so after reading the question, did you get some vague idea on how to approach the question? Okay, most of you have just read the question and understood it. Do anybody have a small idea on how to approach the answer or how to get the answer? You are given two positive integers a and b, and all you have to do is you have to increase a one step at a time such that a becomes divisible by b. Okay. Now there's a very vague approach to this question would be that put a while loop and keep incrementing a every step. Okay, that's very easy. It's check 10 mod 4. So if not increment 10, also increment the value of count. Yeah. Now that's a vague answer, like very easy. First thing that comes to your mind is to do this. Check 10 mod 4 over here. What is 10 mod 4? 10 mod 4 is not equal to 0. Now we increment 10. 10 becomes 11. Okay, 11 mod 4 is also not equal to 0. Now we do when we increment once again, we see 12 mod. We get 12. So 12 mod 4 is 0. So 12 is a divisor of 4, and we got the answer, which is two steps to solve the first question. Okay. Now, the thing with this is probably the code that you have used, you'll use for that. First, you see in T, as you can see, be careful of this. The first input line contains a number of test cases. Okay. So this 5 means there are 5 cases following. Each of these is an individual case. So what I've done is first I've taken an integer T and I've run a for loop from I is equal to 0 to T for each test case. Okay. And inside each test case, I'm initializing a variable for count. I'm taking in two variables a and b. And why a mod b is not equal to 0, I'm incrementing count and I'm incrementing a. Okay. And once that is over, the value of count will be equal to the number of steps we need to make it divisible. And in the end, I'm just printing it out. Okay. Now this should work fine. Let's just copy that first test case and run it. If we run it, we'll get just a second, it's loading. Yeah, if we run it and paste it like this, we'll get something like 2, 5, 4, 333 and 0. Now let's compare the answers over here. These are the answers. Okay, this is the first test case. This is the answer. This is another test case. This is the answer. This is how the output will come when it's these kind of questions where the first input is the number of test cases. Okay, so let's compare the answers. 2, 5, 4, 333 and 0. 2, 5, 4, 333 and 0. These are the correct answers. But the problem with this is a very tricky question. Okay. Now, when I did this for the first time, I did the same way. And when I submitted the question, this is what happened. I got the time limit exceeded on the test case number 3. Yeah. Time limit exceeded on the test case number 3. Okay. What they've done is in test case number 3, they have literally messed with the code and they're putting in such huge numbers. Okay. So your code will have to do so many more calculations. Now, the thing with this is where math problems come in. As you can see, this is a math problem, right? It requires 1 second. This has a tag called math. Now that means whenever you see a mathematics problem, there will be a very easy solution to the question, but you have to think a little bit more ahead. Okay, you have to form a mathematical equation such that it satisfies the question's solution. Okay, now when I thought for some time, it took me around 10 or 15 minutes. I thought of this. This is how the math solution looks like. Okay, what you do is you input the same thing in the starting. You input the t, which is number of test cases. You run a for loop from 1 to t, and you initialize count. It is just useless. Okay, I just copied the previous code. Now you take a and b. Now, firstly, if a mod b is 0, what do? You output 0 directly, right? If a mod b is already 0, you don't need to do any calculations. It's already divisible. If it is not, if in the else case, what it does is, this is what the count value is, b minus a mod b. This is always the count value. This will always be correct. Okay, but when you do b minus a by a mod b, so if you want to test it out, this is a and this is b, right? So here, for the first test case, a is equal to 10. 1 second. Just ask me in the chat if you have any doubt, or if you want me to stop and clarify your doubts. A is equal to b and b is equal to a is equal to 10 and b is equal to 4. Now what I am doing here is b minus a modulus b. So currently, what is a modulus b? In this, a modulus b is currently 2, right? A mod b equal to 2 right now, and b minus a mod b is equal to 4 minus 2, which is equal to 2. Okay. Now this will work for every test case. Let's take the test case 123 and 456, for example. A is equal to 123 and b is equal to 456. Okay. Now what is a modulus b? 123 mod 456. Somebody tell me what 123 mod 456 is. I'm not sure of that. What is the value of 123 mod 456? Can somebody come up with an answer for that? Please tell me in the chat. One 123 mod 456. Tell me in the chat. Yeah, 123. Yeah, 123 mod 456 is equal to 123. So according to the equation, b minus 123, right? So that is 456. 456 minus 123, which is equal to what? 3 on this side, 333. Yeah, right? This is equal to 333, which is the correct answer for that. Now, if you submit this code, it'll obviously give you accepted. That's what I did here. I'll show you the thing over here. It gives you accepted because in the previous code, you're running a very big loop. Okay. Let me show you let me compare the previous code and this code. This code, you're just doing this one. The previous one, what you're doing is you're running another while loop. Now, this while loop will run as many number of times as depends upon a and b. Now, for example, let me give you an example where a is equal to let's say 9 and b is equal to 72 or something, 73 or something. Okay. Now this will make the loop run 9 more times, right? Is it 9 more times? I don't know the answer is. What I'm trying to say is, when it comes to big numbers like this, what they did over here in the previous test case over here, if you see, these numbers are very big, right? Huge numbers. Now, when it comes to these kind of big numbers, this loop here will keep running a lot of times, and eventually they'll put your code through such a huge number that just in one test case, your time limit will get exceeded. In this question, did anybody notice the time limit? Did anybody notice the time limit on that question? It was just 1 second. Okay. So when they put such huge numbers in this code, it will break the time. See, time limit is 1 second. So that is where math problems come in. So now, do you have any doubts regarding math problems? Like, this is how you would approach it. Okay. Whenever you see a math problem, you have to try to form an equation so that you can meet the time complexity or the correct, so that your code will fit in the right amount of time. Okay. Now, do you have any doubts? Okay, fine. No doubts. Let's go with the next question. Now, the next type of very famous one is dynamic programming. It's called DP. Okay. Now, DP, greedy, man, these can come together. It doesn't matter. Now, what is DP? First thing, you'll have to know what DP is. Now, I'll give you a small introduction to DP with this link over here. This is where I started off with DP. This will give you this is a very good article on Hacker Earth. It'll give you a very good insight on what exactly DP is equal to. Now, this is the main motto of DP. Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. Now, what that basically means is you'll have to remember things in the past. Okay, like things you remember a lot of variables so that you can avoid unnecessary calculations. Okay. Now, let me give you a very small example for this. Everybody has heard of the Fibonacci sequence, right? Fibonacci sequence. That sequence is 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, and all that. There's a very big sequence. Yeah, Fibonacci sequence is a very small example of dynamic programming. Let me explain it to you how. What is the code for Fibonacci sequence? Okay, let me create a new file. What you do in Fibonacci sequence include 1 second. I'm too lazy to type it. Let's just Google it. Fibonacci series in C++. Okay. Okay, let's check this upside down. Both of them. Now, this is the program to print the Fibonacci sequence. What this does is, firstly, you initialize a number of terms. First, you take in the number of terms, then you output the Fibonacci sequence. First, what do? You initialize a variable 0 and 1, right? T1 is equal to 0 and T2 is equal to 1, okay? And you first print the first two terms, if I is equal to 1 and if I is equal to 2. And from the next term, what do? You print the previous values, right? Previous T1 and previous T2, and you add them up. You add them in the next term, and then you print it. And after that, you update T1 and T2. Now, what you're doing here is basically you're remembering the previous two values, or you're remembering exactly those previous values which you need to calculate the next value, right? You're remembering exactly the previous, just the two values, not remembering anything else. You can just print the entire sequence, but we just need those two values to calculate the next one. Now, this is what the essence of dynamic programming is. You're remembering those values from the previous calculation so that you don't have to compute them again. Now, if you were not allowed to use these variables, you will have to, run the entire code for Fibonacci sequence every time, right? Like you have to always calculate the previous value. But instead, what you're doing is you're storing it in a variable so that you don't have to calculate again. Now, this is an essential principle of what do you call dynamic programming. You can refer to this article to know better about how to solve this thing. And this is a question that I would recommend to try it out. It's a fairly easy question. Just try to read through this once. I'll post the link in the chat. Okay, once. This is the link for the question. Just read through the question once and tell me if you have any doubts. Okay, if you have done reading the question, can you just respond in the chat so we can go ahead? Sorry, okay. What's the price of fuel increasing? Yes, the price of the fuel is increasing in every. Okay, I'll explain what the problem is. Now, what Sasha is trying to do is he's okay. Just leave the story part. Now, you will be given two integers. Okay, I'll tell you what the question is. Done reading. Okay, did you understand the question, or are you having any doubts? Okay, I'll just explain the question anyways. Now, Sasha decided to go on a trip to different countries. Okay, so the first integer that she's gonna give you is n, which is the number of cities she wants to visit. Okay. And then the next integer she's going to give you is V, the capacity of a tank. Okay. Now what you have to do is, what you have to keep in mind is first thing, the tank is empty, right? The first thing is the tank is empty. In the beginning, the tank is empty. Okay. And in the first city where she is, the fuel of the city is, the cost for the fuel is equal to the position of the city. Okay. So in the first city, the cost of the fuel will be 1 rupees. Second city, the cost of the fuel will be 2 rupees. Third city, the cost of fuel will be 3 rupees, and so on. Okay. So here there is a gas station at each city. In the ith city, the price of 1 liter of fuel is $I. Okay. This is what is explained over here. So as you go on the journey, the price of the fuel will keep increasing. Okay. So at the end of this thing, that is the last city, the price will be the highest, and in the first city, the price will be the lowest. Okay. So what you have to do is this car can travel only 1 kilometer with 1 liter of fuel. So it's pretty easy. Now, what you have to do is, in the first test case, it's given over here. In the first example, Sasha can buy 2 liters for $2 in the first city, okay, where she starts. She buys 2 liters for $2. And then she drives to the second city, and she can spend 1 liter of fuel over there, right? She traveled 1 city, so 1 liter of fuel is spent. And she buys 1 more liter. So wait, let me get it all together once again. In the first city, she has 0 liters of fuel. Okay, she buys 2 liters of fuel. Her tank is full. Now she travels from the first city to the second city. She spends 1 liter of fuel on traveling. Okay, Now since she spent 1 liter of fuel, her tank has only 1 liter left. Since the maximum capacity of tank is 1, there's only 1 liter left. So she buys 1 more liter of fuel from the second city, which will cost her 2 rupees. Now, how much has she spent totally? 2 rupees on the first and 2 rupees on the second city. That is, she buys 2 liters on the first city and spends 2 rupees, and she buys 1 liter on the second city for 2 rupees. So totally that's 2 plus 2, 4 rupees, right? And how much liters does she have right now? She has 2 liters, and she needs to get to the fourth city. So she spends 1 liter to get to the third city and the last liter to get to the fourth city. And at the fourth city, she spent all the fuel and she reaches the destination, which is why the cost is 4. Do you have any doubts, or should I explain again once more? Okay, it would be easier with a pen and a paper, but I'll tell it to you anyways. 1 second. Okay, in the first city, let's get to the question again. The main aim of this thing is to reduce the price. As you can see, you have to help him figure it out with the least amount of money he needs to finish the trip. Okay, so this is the V is the liter of the V is the capacity of the fuel tank, and N is the city he needs to travel, and I is the price of the fuel in that specific city. Okay, right now N is equal to 1, which means he's in the first city. Okay, you follow this one so you can understand better. N is equal to 1, which means he's in the first city. Okay. So what he does is, right now, the cost of the fuel is also equal to 1 because the city is equal to 1. Okay. So what he does here is he buys 2 liters of fuel from the city. Now, why 2 liters? Because it's given over here. The maximum capacity of the fuel tank is 2 liters. Okay. So he buys 2 liters of fuel with 1 rupee each liter. Okay. So the cost is equal to he buys 2 liters, right? So 2 into 1. 2 into 1, which is equal to 2. So he spends 2 rupees and buys 2 liters of fuel, and his fuel tank is currently full. Okay. Now he travels from the first city to the second city. Okay. What all happens here? He travels from first city to the second city. His fuel reduces by 1 liter. So 2 liters will now become 1 liter. Okay. And the cost per liter for the fuel will become 2 because he is in the second city right now. Okay. Now, what he needs to do here is he needs to buy 1 more liter from here. Okay. So that is, he buys 1 liter from here. So the cost will become 2 plus 2 rupees for 1 liter. And so currently right now he has only 1 liter left in his tank. If he buys 1 more liter, it will become 2 liters. Okay. Now he needs to reach the city number 4. Now, since he already has enough fuel, he'll spend 1 liter to reach the third city and the last liter to reach the fourth city. And he has 0 amount of fuel left, but that doesn't matter. He already reached N is equal to 4, right? Which is the starting of the question. And totally the cost of this is equal to 4. Now we need, the correct answer is 4 because let me get to another case. Oh wait, before getting to other case, did you understand this now? Now do I have to repeat once again? Do I have to repeat it again, or did you understand? Respond in chat, please. Okay, it looks like you guys understood. Okay. Now, do you know why we filled the fuel in the second city? We already had 1 liter, right? So why did we fill the fuel in the second city? We could have traveled all the way to third city and filled the fuel from the third city, right? Why did we fill the fuel from the second city? Now, the reason for that is, let us assume he went to the third city, okay? So, and N is always equal to 4, I is equal to 4. Yeah, exactly. The price is higher. So I'll just run through the case anyways. So first city, he buys 2 liters. The cost is equal to 2. Okay. He travels to the second city. He spends 1 liter of fuel over there. He travels to the third city. He spends his last liter of fuel over there. Okay. Now, if he needs to buy a new liter, it will become plus 3 rupees. He needs to get to the fourth city, right? So he needs to buy only 1 more extra liter. Now for that, it will become is equal to how much? 5. So what was our previous cost? Our previous cost was 4. And this cost is 5. So what we have to do here is minimize the cost, which is why we already bought from the cheaper one. Okay. Now this is how the problem's explanation is. Sorry. Now I hope you all understood the question. Now, do you have any idea on how to solve it? How will you approach it with the code? I'll give you one hint. The main idea is to keep the fuel tank full in the initial cities, okay? And keep it full until you have enough fuel to travel to the desired city, okay? You have to keep the fuel tank full all time, every time we are in the what do you call initial cities, so that the price will be less, and you have to stop refueling until you have enough amount of fuel to reach the last. Now this is one hint I can give you. Do you have any idea on how to approach it? Well, I'll show you the code anyways. I posted the link, so if you found this problem really interesting, you can try it on your own. But I think I'll show you the code for this. So if you want, I can give the link to my submission also in the chat. You can test it out yourself. Greedy algorithms, okay? Greedy, it's called greedy algorithms, but then it's not really an algorithm to solve. Algorithm is a step-by-step definition to every problem, but greedy algorithm is not an algorithm. It's just a method of solving, okay? Now we saw DP, right? DP is where you have to remember the previous values to solve the next question. To find out the next value, you have to remember the previous values. Similarly, what you do with DP, with greedy, is that at every instance, you check the best alternative, okay? There'll be a lot of things you can do in every instance. What you do with greedy is at every step, you take the best solution possible. So what happens is at every instance, if you're taking the best solution possible, in the end, you'll be obviously be able to get the global best solution, right? That's what you would think, but then that is exactly the problem with greedy algorithms. If you try to take a greedy approach for every question, it's not going to happen. Okay, it's going to be wrong. In the end, there'll be some case, or there'll be a lot of problems where greedy algorithms don't work. So if you're going to use something that is having a greedy approach, make sure that it already has a greedy tag. Okay. If it doesn't have the greedy tag and you try to do the greedy thing, it might go wrong. It will totally give you wrong answers. Now, I will show you I'll give you a link to where you can learn the greedy algorithms. Same thing on Hacker Earth. They have really good materials on greedy algorithms and all these kind of introductory tutorials. They have really good. They've written it very well and explained it very well. So, if you want more insight on that, you can check out over there. Now, before we wind up this meeting, I'll be telling you another small thing where you can, on CodeForces, where you can explore it a little bit more. Now, not just CodeForces, okay? CodeForces is one really good website for competitive programming. Another thing that I would suggest you all to do is, there's another website called SPOJ, spoj.com, okay? Now, this is another great website. Now, I'll tell you what the advantage of this website is. I would ask you all to go make a profile on this website also, because it has its own advantages. Let me tell you. Go to spoj, spoj.com. I have put up the link in the chat. Do it with me, okay, so you don't miss out on this. Spoj.com. Everyone just go visit the website. Once you open the website, tell me in the chat so I'll proceed. Okay, fine. Let's go ahead. I'll tell you what to do next. After making the account in Spoj, what you have to do is go to problems. Even Spoj has a very big library of a lot of problems. And I want you to do this thing, sort by users, okay? If you sort by users, you're going to sort it in a way that most of the people have submitted, okay? The first one has 150,000 submissions, then the next has a few thousand, next 50,000, 41,000, like that. So it's in the order of how the people have submitted the questions, okay? Now, what is the advantage is I started off with CodeForces, so I feel comfortable on CodeForces. But Spoj has its own advantage. First thing, Spoj has a lot more problems than CodeForces. And it's a very old platform, but the competitions over here are very low, very less. CodeForces conducts way more competitions than Spoj. So to practice, how I'd suggest you to do is just sort it with users. So you click on users once, and it'll be sorted in the order of most solved problems. Now these are a list of classical problems. Okay, they're called classical problems. So the specialty or the advantage of this is it is sorted in such a way that every problem you solve, you will learn something new. Okay, the first is very easy. Second one, you will learn something new. Third one, you learn something new. So you will be learning very important topics in every problem. So it's not going to be easy. You might not be able to solve that question. So what you do is you learn what to do. So when you learn what to do, you learn something new, and that thing will be very important. Okay, for example, let's take this small thing called factorials. Okay, not small factorial, factorial. Now this is the fourth question, okay? Over here, what they ask you to do, this is a very big story, don't even read about this. What they'll tell you is, they'll ask you to calculate the factorial of numbers like this. You have to calculate 8735373 factorial. Like, do you have any idea how big that number will be? That will be such a huge number, right? So to store such a big number, it is literally impossible in C++. Even in Python, I've tried to do it in Python and it'll take a very long time to compute such a huge value. And after that, you're supposed to calculate the factorial and you're supposed to print out how many trailing zeros are there. That is, how many zeros are there which are trailing the final digit. Okay, that's what you have to calculate. You have to print out the number of trailing zeros. Now, in this question, if you take this example, 87,35,373, it has 21 lakh trailing zeros. Okay, so the number is so big. I'll give you an example for this. There's a calculator online called Wolfram Alpha Calculator. I'll put this all up in the WhatsApp group, and the video is already is recorded, so you can watch it later on to know what this is if you forgot. Now the question is printing the factorial of this number. Factorial, it's probably will give me the answer. Let's see. Yeah. Now this is how big the number is. Okay, 10 raised to 5, 7, 8. It's literally so big. Number of trailing zeros 2183, 838, 837. That's what you have to print out. Number of trailing zeros is what you have to print out. Okay. Now to do this kind of a problem, you will have to check at so many approaches where you can store such big numbers, right? Which is what I'm trying to tell you is the advantage. See, this is just a fourth question. So at every question, you'll be learning something which is very important and something that is new. So if you keep solving this in the order, there's like till the next 300 or 200 questions, you'll be like really, really good at competitive programming. So that is one thing. And then apart from greedy, DP and mathematics, there are so many other tags like implementation. Implementation is the easiest. Okay? It is the easiest thing. Like, there is nothing much to think. Like math, you have to form an equation. DP, you have to think of a lot of things before. Greedy, you'll have to use its own approach. There's nothing like that for implementation. Implementation is going to be the easiest. After that is combinatorics. There are a lot of tags. So if you can, please go and explore them. But the most common tags are going to be math, DP, and greedy. Okay. So any doubts so far? We didn't take anything important in the session, so I think we'll wind the session with that. We'll wind up the virtual C++ classes with that. The WhatsApp group will be active anyway. So if you're solving more problems and if you have any doubts, please be sure to put it up in the group. And that's it, I guess. See you later then. Bye.